Hi, Alex Williams of the New Stack here at South by Southwest, live from the Capital One House, where we'll be spending the next few days talking to people about the developer efforts that Capital One has had underway, including the opening of their APIs and their developer platform. We look forward to bringing you the stories here, and see you again soon. All right, Alex Williams of the New Stack here at South by Southwest, the Capital One House, where I'm here with some members of the Capital One team who developed the Capital One Developer Exchange. And you guys have opened up some APIs. You're developing this exchange, and it's actually quite robust. These things don't come out of nowhere, and I'd love to talk with you guys about that. But first, why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Naveed Anwar. I run the platform, community, and strategic integrations at Capital One.
Hi, I'm Dave Goldberg, Director of API Products at Capital One.
Hey folks, I'm Harrison Williams. I run the product management team for our platform initiative.
So I'm interested in the story behind, what you guys have been announcing here, and there's a lot of work that goes into these things, and we know that it starts, it starts with really building out your own internal infrastructure. Can you take us really from the beginning of that story, and and where you are today, and then perhaps we can get into the issues around how you guys manage your APIs internally, for example.
Sure, I'll start it off and then pass it over to Dave and Harrison. Look, this journey for digital transformation for Capital One started a few years ago, where we started looking at things in a very different manner, where we wanted to take the approach of building APIs so that we could have reusable and scalable products. This was to modernize our technology in multiple ways, like how do we get away from SOAP services into more RESTful interfaces? How do we take our infrastructure, which is more around ops centers, into the cloud? How do we actually introduce more modern languages in which people could actually start building agnostic to any coding language, build products? So that was the philosophy behind why we wanted to go down this path. And then it's a culmination of all things coming together, where we take that approach in building our products for consumers and merchants. Now, how can we actually take those same APIs that are for our own products and open them up for the external developer community to build their experiences? Dave Goldberg over here, who actually manages our internal process when it comes to someone to think about building an API, how should they be building it internally as well as then externalizing it? Dave, you want to add more to that?
Sure. So when we started this 2.5, 3 years ago, Harrison and I were part of that initial push to elevate APIs in the company to more than just a technical concern. And one of the biggest things we had to do is to teach people about the importance of design as it applied to these interfaces, and not just design as it applies to apps and things like that, but about how developers matter, how they think about consuming services. And in doing so, you can make those services higher quality, more reusable, and more effective for the long term. And so right now we're bearing some of the fruits of that as we're able to launch a platform and build things like our Alexa app right on top of it.
Hey, so I'll add on a little bit of data there, Alex. So when we started this journey, we had somewhere around 9,000 middleware services running in our stack, many of them duplicating functionality, only slight variations on them. They weren't well documented, they weren't discoverable for our developer population. There was no place that you could go and actually see the list of 9,000 and what they did. So we looked at that problem and we said, well, we've got to raise that up. We've got to apply some product management to that activity. We've got to find a way to really unleash the power of those APIs by making them not only discoverable, but accessible to our developer community internally. And through learning how to do that, through evolving our processes and our tooling, we got to a point where we just felt like it was the right time to open it up and do it for our external consumers.
So one of the things that I've been hearing lately is when we hear people talk more about microservices, for example, is this whole question of how do these internal teams work together, and often we hear about things like collaboration, but collaboration is not really as valuable as people would like it to seem. And really, what the most effective thing is to develop those internal APIs so the teams can communicate. Is that an approach you guys took, and maybe you guys could talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, so we've been building some really great tooling, what we think is best-in-class tooling around enabling disparate teams in the organization. When you have an organization as big as Capital One, you need to enable people to work together without the iron fist of centralizing everything. And the tooling we're building takes advantage of modern technologies like modern approaches like using Swagger and importing that into a custom-built lifecycle engine to allow different teams to contribute their APIs and get dashboard views of everything they're doing as it moves through the process, all the way to publication on the portal and consumption by others. So the tool set that we're developing is, not only are we elevating the importance of design, but we believe that tooling is a critical element to getting teams to see what's happening in the company and to work together on really good APIs.
The other thing that I'll add, as I spoke to you yesterday as well, is this is not just about a collaboration that we're doing internally. We actually want to take these tools that we've built out and open source them so that the community outside could actually take advantage of it and build on top of it. Hence the reason you will start seeing a lot more tools that we build open sourced and accessible on our developer exchange in the next coming months, particularly around, I think we feel that we've cracked the nut in how we actually can make API lifecycle much easier for folks who are thinking about that API journey. And look out for that news from Capital One soon.
So maybe tell us about that API lifecycle then a little bit.
Sure. You want to?
Sure. So what we started doing was thinking about the API lifecycle in 4 discrete stages: planning, design, development, and production, release. And we've built a set of APIs that facilitates the lifecycle movement through all of those stages and can be used by any team in the company. So it starts with this planning stage where teams can submit their ideas, start building out their API specs using Swagger, the Swagger designer that we've integrated, submit that to the design process. We have some reviews of that. We look at them, we help them improve their designs. It then passes through the development stage where they can develop in any language they want. It's totally decoupled from any specific tech stack, entirely based on these APIs that we've built. And then we publish it to the portal. And this whole set of APIs itself can be accessed by any team in the company. So they can build they can integrate their own DevOps tool sets. We can integrate with any kind of gateway or any kind of portal that we want to build, and have the whole thing integrate with these flexible APIs. And so we see it as really central to how we can make an efficient pipeline of APIs for different teams in the company.
That's really interesting.
And I'll just add to that because your question was about collaboration, right? And so you can clearly see how the tooling helps our company become much better at creating really well-designed APIs, right? Because Dave and team have laid down a set of standards, our own REST standards internally, to help make sure that we're building APIs that are as reusable in a collaborative way as they could possibly be. And I'll just add on that, once we publish those to the portal, we've spent a lot of time focused on the consumption of those from a documentation perspective, from even as simple as access perspective, right? Like we share a story internally, like it used to take upwards of, almost 3 weeks to get access to our middleware services between your VIP registrations or your SSL configurations and your approval processes, and this was not allowing us to leverage the power and collaborate the way that we wanted to. And this new modern day tooling allows instant access to our internal developers for any API that comes through this process. They can comment on it, they can make suggestions, they can start consuming it instantly to see that it meets the needs of whatever it is that they're trying to solve.
So how do you organize this from a team's perspective then? I mean, do you guys have, lots of small teams working together? Because there are these methodologies you start to see emerge where lots of small teams are working on lots of different things, and you start to look for the patterns that then might then emerge in, a new release, for example. And there really is no rhyme or reason to it necessarily. It's just what is emerging out of the patterns. Is that an approach you guys take?
Yes, very much. Look, we are very much of like an agile framework within the company, right? We've got small pods, dedicated teams where the product managers, the designers, the engineers all sit together to look at what's the next value proposition that we can bring to our community. And this comes with owning it from the point of concept to the point of actually taking it live and owning it through the whole life cycle. The other thing that we do from an organizational perspective is like as the teams are looking to open up their APIs, we actually guide them for my organization through what it means to actually take an API out, what does it mean to put good documentation in place, what are the good sample codes that we can actually come up with, how do we actually build reference applications so that the developers out there would find this useful. So it is a lot of cross collaboration across different lines of businesses, and it's not like a centralized approach that we take. It's about making sure that people own and are autonomous in their area where with some centralized coordination through our team.
Well, thank you guys all for taking some time to talk here at the Capital One House. This is a great event. South by Southwest is just teeming with people, and the place here is just full of folks. So, congratulations.
Thank you very much. We're just going to tell everyone on the video over here as well as out there, please join our community. We're looking for feedback. Visit us on developer.capitalone.com or follow us on Twitter at CapitalOneDevX. Thank you.
Terrific. Thanks.
Very much.
Thanks, Alex.